Welcome everybody to week 9 with Cathy on her carnivore journey. Hey Cathy, how are you doing in week 9, at the end of week 9?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm plodding along, waiting for it to be a year so I can see massive results, but no, I'm content in the journey.
Do you notice more physical changes? Because I noticed your face and neck and everything, to me, look slimmer than I have seen. Like it looks like progress. Are you noticing anything like that, just in inflammation and clothes getting looser or anything like that?
Well, I did have lunch with somebody the other day that said I'd lost some weight off my face and my jawline. So that's great. I think when you're seeing yourself every day, you don't really see the changes.
Yeah.
But when I was putting makeup on the other day, I noticed I'm getting my jawline back, which is nice to see. It disappeared
That's
for
what
a
I'm
while,
seeing.
so I'm not sure where it went. But anyway, yeah, so that's great. And look, you do slip into an old way of thinking. Well, I certainly do. I sort of go between the new way and the old way. And the other day I felt like I should be making quicker progress. And so I sat down and put into ChatGPT, I want the top carnivore doctors telling me what I'm doing and blah, blah, blah. So I did that, and it's good to have that snapshot of where you are in the journey, and what to expect and what's going on behind the scenes and stuff like that, because I think that's reassuring. And so it was just saying about, hormones and really resetting and obviously turning over to the new way of processing everything, and talking about the healing aspect of it. Also saying that your body's just in that sort of suspended animation at the moment, wondering whether to trust you again or not.
That's an interesting point. And that's interesting because I watched somebody a couple of days ago talking about how you want to always keep the body guessing in terms of resetting your metabolism. You don't want your body ever to kind of get into a routine where it feels like it can predict that your caloric intake is always going to be this. Energy requirement is always going to be this. So you're constantly kind of shifting it around, and that creates metabolic flexibility. And so what else did they say? Did you name carnivore doctors specifically, or you just said you're a team of top carnivore doctors?
No, I'll find it. And I just said you're the top carnivore doctors. And it said all the names that you normally say to me. So I thought I was on the right track.
Again, for anybody who hasn't been watching up to this point, Cathy jumped straight into the carnivore journey without any prep. I had told her about it. 2 days later, she went, I'm trying it. And my reaction was, no, don't just jump in like that. You've got to watch all these videos like I did, Anthony Chaffee and Ken Berry and all these different carnivore doctors. And Cathy's like, no, you can just guide me because I need to get started on this healing. And so that's why I was wondering if Cathy had any chance to look at any of those videos, but you're inching closer. The fact that you're asking ChatGPT to be your team of carnivore doctors and it goes, well, here's who we are. So that's good. You're getting that.
Here's what you can expect and focus on next, drawn from leading experts like Dr. Anthony Chaffee. And I thought that's one that Naomi talks about all the time. Dr. Ken Berry, Dr. Elizabeth Bright, and Dr. Sean Baker. So weeks 8 to 12, which is the weeks I'm in now, because I'm in week 9, is called the deep adaptation phase. So what happens now? Your body has largely shifted from glucose to fat as its primary fuel, fat adapted. Inflammation typically drops sharply, water retention decreases, hormones begin to stabilize. Your body composition begins to change more noticeably. Belly fat, face puffiness, and water weight continue to melt. Dr. Ken Berry's note, women often need 8 to 12 weeks for hormones, especially cortisol, thyroid, and insulin, which my ChatGPT already know that I have, to recalibrate. Once that stabilization occurs, fat loss occurs. Fat loss often accelerates naturally without changing calories.
How'd that make you feel?
Better. It made me feel reassured. And also, I have to remember those before photographs. I was pretty huge. And now you tend to look at yourself and think, but I need to make this next piece of progress, and I need to make this next piece of progress. And you tend to forget what you've achieved, and I am glad that I took those awful photographs because I'm not ashamed of them. As I said before, I feel terribly, terribly sad for the woman in those photographs. And I feel so much calmer now. I feel so much stronger. I'm excited to hit my goal body. I've stopped saying goal weight because I have no idea what that will be.
Perfect.
But my goal body, like when I can look in the mirror and go, yes, I'm home in my body now. This is how I feel. This is me.
Yeah.
Then I might weigh myself out of curiosity. But the beautiful thing is, as I think I said last time, I'm no longer slave to the numbers. Yeah. Which before I was.
And I thought that was so interesting to hear about the adaptation phase, which is kind of weeks 8 to 12, because you basically have 3 more weeks left and then you've done 90 days of carnivore. And I remember when I first started thinking that 90 days was a long time, and then suddenly it wasn't. And now it's been over a year. I mean, it's been 13 months now. So that adaptation phase, especially with all of the health things that you were in a health crisis and all of those things were going on. And so your body is not only doing that adaptation, but also a lot of healing. And so did we decide that it was December 1st? Is it November? When is it? When is it, like the second week of November that's your 90 days is up? So last week was 30 days. So 2 more weeks from now. Oh my goodness. 2 more weeks from now, you will have done 90 days. You will be, yeah. So basically.
So I'm on week 9 now.
Yep.
Today's the beginning of week 9.
9 weeks. No, you finished 9 weeks. This is the beginning of
9,
the
10, 11,
8th,
12.
10th week.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're beginning your 10th week. You've got 2 more weeks to go. Week 10,
9.
week 11. Actually 3.
So 17th of November will be my 30 days.
That's right. So, that's when you will start to see more conversion of fat to energy, stored fat into energy.
I think it's great as well to discuss other people's opinions when you're on carnivore. So number one, everybody knows that I was like, what's that crazy Canadian doing now when you told me about carnivore? Like, what is she doing? Like, she's always doing something wacky. And so I was one of those people, so I get it. I get it. Do you know what I mean? But obviously now I'm on the journey, like, I can't imagine stopping because obviously for me, health was the biggest motivator. Yes, of course, you know, I'm not saying everybody, but I certainly want to be slim, 100%.
Yeah.
But that was not the motivator here. The motivator was I want to survive. Like I want to live. And that's how bad it got. And I went for, as you know, because I phoned you immediately afterwards because there's no barriers between us. But I went for a procedure last week and I had this really interesting and confronting exchange with the person, this health person who was giving me the procedure. And it was a colonic for anyone who's wondering. And I just thought, let me make sure everything, all the toxicity's out of my system. And I really want to give myself the boost to get rid of everything that's no longer serving me and stuff like that. And I didn't really take to this person, which is unusual for me, but there was something that I wasn't quite comfortable with. But anyway, went ahead and had it done because for me to carve out time in my schedule, I was like, I'm doing this. We're just doing it because I've got time to mess about. And it was very confronting because her attitude towards my lifestyle choices was problematic, I would say. And, you know, I'm a pretty strong person and I know what's good for me and what's not good for me. I've had decades of experience experimenting, so I'm pretty good at understanding my body. And I had to get quite firm in the end because I know that obviously she has been trained in a certain way and she's got her ideas about health and she's got ideas about what's healthy and what's not healthy. But here's the thing. Before I got trauma trained, when anybody would come to me with trauma, I would lovingly connect them with somebody else who was trained in trauma. I've referred people to you, Naomi, before because I didn't have the trauma training and I've said, you need to go and see Naomi. She can deal with trauma. Now I've got trauma training. Obviously I can help those people, but I wouldn't pretend that I could when I had no knowledge of trauma. And, you know, this person obviously wasn't an expert in carnivore. They made judgments on the small amount of information that they had, and then they were like vomiting those judgments all over me during the procedure. And, you know, one of the things that really got me was she said, well, carnivore normally works for a couple of months and then it stops and then you'll need to find an alternative. And I thought that's not true though, because there are hundreds of people who have been doing it for years. Yeah. And who are reaping the benefits, would never go back, and have had horrific allergies and all sorts of things, life-threatening things that have been resolved through carnivore. So I was like, that's kind of not true. Like, you shouldn't be saying that to people. And then she was sort of saying about how you should be moving your bowel every day. And I thought, well, there's nothing in it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what, I said to her, my body has never felt as at peace as it does now. And I said, I never feel constipated. If I did, I would see to it. Like, nobody wants to feel that. It's not a very nice feeling. I don't feel that at all. If anything, as we know from my journey, before, when I was having loads of veggies, loads of salad, I was suffering really badly with my bowel. Really badly. And now I mean, it's adjusting still, it's getting much better. But anyway, so that was interesting to me. And then during the session, she was saying, and of course, you really very soon you need to start introducing fruits and vegetables back for the fiber, and you need to be doing this, you need to be doing that. And then I sort of got a little bit rebellious.
What'd you do?
And I said, well, actually, it's my belief that everybody should have autonomy over their own bodies and use the data that they've gathered throughout their lives to make informed decisions about which lifestyle choices are best for them or not.
Did you say it that way?
I did pronounce my T's because I was slightly irked at the arrogance of that viewpoint, because let's face it, there are things in my line of work that I'm brilliant at, and there's things where I have to say I'm not trained in that, or I don't have enough experience with that. Let me find you somebody who does. Not being arrogant to say I've got all of the answers about absolutely everything and I am the only person that you should listen to. It's not how it works. And I believe in my clients' autonomy, and I believe that they should make decisions for themselves. That's the whole point that we're here. And so that did annoy me slightly. And so I think it's really interesting when you're going on a journey like this. I haven't shared my journey with a lot of people, she says, speaking openly on YouTube. But people in my life, I just get on with it. I don't feel the need to explain it. I don't feel the need to talk about it. If people ask me, I'm very happy to share my journey, but I'm not going to ram my lifestyle down anybody else's throat. And as you know, I did speak to a friend who was in similar crisis that I was. And I said, would you be open to me sharing my story with you? And she said, yes. And I just very briefly said, mainly, I know where you are. I really feel for you. I've recently had a health crisis. It's really scary. I'm really glad you could share that with me, blah, blah, blah. And then just sort of said, I've changed the way I'm eating, quit sugar. I've quit carbs. It's been a huge benefit for me. And only when she asked more probing questions did I say, well, actually, yeah, I am doing carnivore, and sure enough, some of my friends did that. But I didn't just, try and convert her. Do you know what I mean? Like, I gave enough information to be respectful. She asked for more information. I gave more information. But I said, I'm certainly not an expert on carnivore. I'm an expert on me.
Yeah. And how did this person in this professional that you had the Colonic with, what was the reaction like when you enunciated all your T's and put a very fine point on it for her? I think it was. I feel that she certainly received the message that I wasn't impressed with this imbalance of conversation. And she did change her tone, which I think is appropriate. But here's what gets me. Like, I'm pretty feisty. Like, I'm polite, but I'm also pretty firm. Like, I'll communicate as kindly as I can my boundary. But there will be people going in there who are very vulnerable, who are hanging off her every word. And of course, she's trying to sell me more sessions, and she's trying to sell me this detox and that detox and this and this and this. So it's all a sales pitch as well. And so, I think when you're doing something like that, you need to be careful. You need to understand that the people could be very vulnerable in front of you. They may have shame around certain areas of their health. I've certainly carried shame in the past. And, I feel like that was unethical, and I asserted that boundary. Very good. And you also, I think you sent me a text, or were we talking on the phone?
We talked, yeah.
We talked on the phone, and you let me know that she had said, well, you have to go on a probiotic or something like that. What happened with that?
Yeah, she did say I had to.
Supplements?
I would imagine so. Yeah.
Okay.
So I did have a shot of the beetroot probiotic that she provided for me because I thought, oh, probiotics, I'm not sure about that one. So I had it and I contacted you and you went, oh, you don't really need that because your whole system's gearing up to it. And I was like, okay. I didn't have any effects from it. So I kind of got away with it in that sense. It might have delayed my progress for a week. I don't know. I will never know.
No, I don't think it would delay progress or anything like that. I think the worst thing that would happen would be anytime you shock your gut microbiome, there's an adjustment upset period, but it would not set you back in terms of your results. But go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't have a reaction, which was great. Even as strong and confident as I am, she got me with the probiotics.
Well,
and I kind of felt afterwards, damn it. Like, cause there was a voice in me going, no. And I thought, oh shit, I'm not sure about the probiotics. I better take it. But anyway, so that was that. But I came away and did a lot more research on the things that she brought up. And I put it into ChatGPT as well, who argued on my behalf. And so next time I go in, because I am going to go in one more time at least, I will say to her, listen, I really feel like you're very passionate about health, and I applaud that. And you're obviously in a position where you want to support people with their health, and I think that's fantastic. But I feel like there needs to be some filters through which you are communicating. I mean, to say to somebody who's been morbidly obese, who's lost more than 2/3 of her stomach in the last 9 weeks, it only works for a couple of months and then it stops. For a lot of people, that's not what people want to hear, right? That's not what people want to hear. Don't get me wrong, I haven't found it hard. Like, it's been the easiest thing I've ever done in my life, which is bizarre, having been a vegetarian for 10 years, but that's not cool.
No, because, and also that's about derailing somebody's confidence just because, like, if somebody's doing well with something, if somebody says to me, I'm feeling fantastic, I've started this vegan diet and I've never felt better, I'm not going to say to them, that's only going to last a couple of months and you're going to start being sick. No way. I might be thinking that, but I'm not saying it. I'm going, good for you. I'm so glad you feel better. You know, and I've definitely had people tell me, and I don't know if, I think this has happened to you too, when you tell people that what you're doing and they go, oh, I'm so glad that's working for you. And they're thinking, wouldn't work for me or anybody else I know, but it's working for you. That's okay. That's a perfectly acceptable response for someone to have. But somebody in a position of trust to blurt out something like it's going to last, in a couple of months, it's going to all be over. First of all, it's a completely uneducated opinion. She's heard that from other people. That's kind of the party line that we're all fed about fruits and vegetables and fiber and everything like that. And so she's just parroting what she's heard. She has no actual knowledge of the carnivore diet. She has no actual knowledge of the scientific foundation, of which there is none, to say that fruits and vegetables are essential. There is nothing essential in fruits and vegetables. Everything we need that's essential is in meat. That is a scientific fact. But a lot of people don't know that. So they decide, well, they feel emboldened and supported by this collective agreement that we've all been living under for decades, that the healthy way to eat is fruit and vegetables. So they just say that because they feel like they take it upon themselves to be an ambassador of what they believe is the truth, without realizing they haven't examined it themselves. They've literally just taken it on board, and they've taken it on board from other people who have taken it on board, from other people who've taken it on board, and other people. And when you look at these massive rates of type 2 diabetes and autoimmune and just all these inflammatory conditions that are just exploding everywhere, and I think we're being purposefully kept from noticing that it's the way that we've been taught to eat for the past 50 years. But in any case, for her to try to take the wind out of your sails, and it's just, if you say to somebody, I'm letting my body, which you did, you said to her, I'm letting my body kind of guide me. I'm seeing how I feel. I've never felt more at peace, never felt more calm. I'm not constipated. I don't go every day because there's nothing in there to go, because it's, my body's using everything I eat. That's kind of a good sign. And if you started to feel absolutely crappy, then you start questioning, and you should. If you start feeling absolutely crappy, you start questioning. And I've gone through periods where my body's going through different stages of healing. I think I told you I had the muscle cramps in my calves because my electrolytes were out of balance. I was drinking too much water, diluting the potassium in my body. I didn't know I was doing that. Once I stopped doing that, no more muscle cramps. Everything's fine. So even on a carnivore diet, if you start feeling kind of crap, it could be now that you're releasing, there's oxalate dumping. There are so many signs of healing on carnivore, symptoms of healing that are symptoms of healing from problems that are decades old in your body.
And that's it though, isn't it? Decades old. This is what we're trying to reverse. Yeah.
You've been doing this for 9 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
How long did it take to put on the weight? Let's look at the weight, not even the health things. How long did it take you to put on the excess fat that you're carrying in your frame? More than 9 weeks. And at the end of the fat loss part of this journey for you, you're going to look back and go, man, that was fast. Because I'm doing that myself. I mean, when I look back and it's been a year and I've probably got about another 2 kilos, my guess is about another 2 kilos of fat to go. It's going slowly. I'm not making it, like forcing it or anything. And I just know what the parts of my body that feel really lean feel like. And then the parts of my body that feel like they've got extra padding tells me it's probably about 2 kilos. I don't know. It might take another year to go. But the amount of weight that I've lost, the amount of fat that I have burned up in the last year, I just go, man, that was fast. Because this is fat that I've been accumulating on this repeated gain, loss cycle. And messing up my metabolism, this has been going on for 50 years. 50 years. So 1 year? Wow, that seems really fast to me now.
But another reason why it feels fast is because it's fun and it's enjoyable.
Well, the fun and enjoyable makes it feel like it's not even time.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
This is my normal way to eat now. I look forward to every meal, but not in an obsessive kind of all I'm doing is thinking about food. I don't think about food until it's time to eat or I'm hungry. And then if it's time to eat, I think, am I really hungry? I have to kind of think and go, sometimes I go, not really. I think I can push it another hour or two. Sometimes I notice that I feel hungry. I drank some water. No, I'm still hungry. Look at the clock. Oh yeah, that's about right considering what I had for breakfast. I'm kind of starting to learn how much I eat and what kind of food I eat as the first meal will dictate how soon I need to eat again for the second meal. It's really always listening to my body, and I just don't think about food in between. But the second I know it's time to eat, I get very excited. Like, your dog and your cat, they start like meowing and rubbing and running around when you're like, it's dinner time. I feel that same level of excitement when it's time to eat. Like people that go, oh no, I love food too much. It's like, I still really love food, but I just don't think about it for hours and hours and hours at a time anymore between meals. I just don't think about it. And I get excited and I finish eating my whatever it was and just go, oh, I just feel so lucky that I got to eat such an amazing, it's like a visceral sense of enjoyment. It's flavor, satiety, health, clean, energy, but I don't feel heavy. So I'm not counting the minutes at all in terms of how I eat, but I'm just looking at when I look at the calendar and I look at how much fat I've lost. It's like 18 to 18 kilos now. I've lost 18 kilos in a year and 1 month. What about your other things? So just quick recap. You haven't had any gallbladder twinges or issues or anything?
No. In fact, I looked at the diary today and thought I must postpone again.
You've got to postpone again because it was going to be the end of November, which is basically 4 weeks from now. Is that right? Yeah. How far are you going to push it back to?
Well, he gets pretty booked up, so I would imagine it will be February, March, something like that, and with my calendar as well. But I think as long as I'm symptom-free, there's no reason for me to do it. And that's one thing that the woman did say is, oh, yes, that's brilliant. Try and keep your gallbladder. So that's one thing we agreed on at least. But,
yeah, that's good.
Yeah, no, I'm ready to push that back. I've felt as well this weekend was my monthlies. Mm-hmm. And it was so great to hit on a weekend because I actually was quite tired. I've been quite busy. Yeah. And I just needed to, I did a few things over the weekend, but nothing like I normally do. And I just slowed right down and hydrated, had my bone broth and all of those things could really nurture my body during this stage. Rather, us women, we're taught to push through it, keep going, don't let it stop you. And I was like, no, I'm going to nurture. I'm just going to cocoon. I'm going to rest. I'm going to hydrate. I'm going to, it's so funny. I was going to send you a picture how to tell you're on carnivore and hydrating without saying you're on carnivore and hydrating. Because I had like 4 cups, 3 glasses. I was all set up for my movie with my bone broth and my salts and my water and my coffee with butter in it. And there was all of these drinks. And I was just beautiful. I was like, previously it would have been a table full of treats, right? Treats, all sugar stuff, all poisonous stuff. And this time it was just all this fluid that was just like, I was gonna have all this fluid, and it was super great,
awesome.
you know. And I think as well, you know, the reason that carnivore gets to be easy is because it completely changes your taste buds.
Yes.
Because like last night, the children, we had everybody here and they all had dessert, which is fine. But I looked at it, I thought chemicals, I just thought it's going to taste artificial to me, you know? And they all had a little piece each. I mean, I'm sure they're watching me. My older ones are watching me. I think they're going to see how I go. I never forced being a vegetarian on them. I'm not forcing being a carnivore on them. I communicate, we talk, we ask questions, we all of the things, and then they decide. The only thing that I do limit is the sugar intake, which I think most parents do. And we talk about healthy choices and things like that. But I mean, our fridges and cupboards are pretty bare now, but they've plenty of food for them. Don't need anyone to worry. They're very well fed. But
not a lot of barcodes.
I know, not a lot of barcodes, and I'm not enforcing my way on them. I want them to have autonomy over their bodies and have the information and choose what feels right for them with, I mean, guidance for the younger ones, if the way they'll sit and eat, you know, I mean, Maltesers all day if I let them. And no, you can have treats on a Friday, and then, you know, so that's all good. But for me, I'm not even interested. And kind of, I was laughing the other day and saying carnivore's kind of ruining food for me. Because you go back to things you used to enjoy and you're like, blah, 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 I can't eat that anymore. So it makes it easy. That's what makes it easy, because you don't want it.
Do you find when you go to the supermarket, because I used to get overwhelmed in the aisles, because I mean, like, let's just take one example, would be in the aisle that has all the crisps, the chips. So you've got the Doritos and you've got all the kettle chips and this flavor, that flavor, this flavor. And I used to feel almost a low grade anxious feeling of like so much choice. And immediately this war would start inside of me. Look at all these things that are really bad for you. And then this other part would go, but I want some of it. And another part would go, which one should I have? And the other part would go, I'm overwhelmed. There's so many choices. Another part would go, I should probably not have any at all. Another part, no, I'm here. I can have it if I want to. And it was just this cacophony of, there were like 5 different internal voices all arguing about these freaking chips. And I just remember the overwhelm of how many different kinds there were. And sometimes I would end up grabbing a bag and I'd start eating them in the car on the way home to reward myself for having been out shopping. Because you need to reward yourself for, you know, doing a grocery shop, apparently. And then I'd get home and think I should throw those in the bin now, because you feel kind of sick after a bunch of these and it tastes really chemically. And then, but you don't. You go, well, I might want them later. And so then the next day they're there. It's like big bags. So, you know, it takes a few days to get through it. And you end up having these chips every single day. When I go to the grocery store now, and I'm seeing this aisle, this multicolored, brightly colored, this aisle of all the different sort of fiesta cavalcade of chips, I just look at it and I feel zero excitement, none of that internal chatter. I just look at it and I feel sad for all the people and the me that used to feel all this tension in that aisle. And because I was being pulled magnetically by the incredible marketing and by the, you know, this new flavor, you know, American Thanksgiving turkey with stuffing flavored chips, you know, and they keep coming up with new ones that maybe go, I wonder what that one tastes like. And so just to be able to look at it and clearly see that it's not food, and realize as I'm racing down the aisle to go get something that I need, like maybe dishwashing powder or something like that. And I've picked the wrong aisle. So I'm going down an aisle that's got a lot of food with barcodes. And I'm just thinking 99% of what's in this supermarket is poison for the human body. It's not food. 99% of the food with barcodes and everything. And I know that if somebody's just coming in and listening to this and they haven't been in on the carnivore discussion, you know, between us and between the carnivore doctors and so many creators in the space talking about it, it can sound like fanaticism. It can sound like a kind of a religious zealotry to talk this way about it. It's all poison.
It's snobby.
It sounds snobby. It's all poison. It's all terrible. I'm just saying I sincerely look at that stuff and I feel like I've woken up from a dream where I was in a dream state where all of that was food and it was so incredibly tempting, but I knew I shouldn't, but I wanted to, but I knew and I didn't want to, and I did, and I didn't, and I back and forth. And now it's just sort of be lifted. It's like I've been airlifted out of that crazy mindset of thinking that that was food and that was tempting. That's such a gift. It's just so simple now. And yet to not have lost any of the enjoyment. In fact, there's 3 times the enjoyment there used to be because there's none of the internal conflict about what I'm eating that there used to be. So much internal conflict. So what are you eating like every day? Have you noticed over the course of this 9 weeks now that you've done, what are the kinds of adjustments you've made to what you eat in a day? Because you've obviously found a really good groove. You're eating in such a way that your energy's pretty good. You don't have the cramps. You're balancing your electrolytes. So what's that looking like for you now?
Well, most mornings I cook breakfast for everybody, but because I had a real slumpy weekend, I hadn't been to the supermarket, so they couldn't have a cooked breakfast this morning. So they were very, I was verging on mutiny in this house. So generally I cook them bacon and eggs or sausages and eggs. And so they go to school with a big, nice full belly. I do have to be careful which sausages I buy now because otherwise some do give me heartburn. So I am a little bit more choosy over what. The cleaner you get, the more you feel. So the more you identify the reactions to things, whereas probably before they were buried in symptoms, now they're like, oh, that doesn't feel great. Actually, I'm not going to have those sausages again. Do you know what I mean? Like I could feel that, whatever. So mainly sausage and egg for breakfast. And then for lunch, probably a steak. I've just started doing my brisket. So I'll do another one tomorrow, which is great. So I think I've got the sweet spot with that. Mainly beef I've been eating, I have to say. Like last night, the children had a roast pork, so I had pork, and that's all I had was pork and a bit of crackling, which was lovely. And that's all I had, and I was totally satisfied with that. And then they had a little bit of dessert each, and I wasn't interested in that. I have still my salts every day, so I have, but I've come off the, I have got the chocolate caramel salts for when I just need something other than hot water. I just feel like something, like over the weekend, and I just had my chocolate caramel salts in a nice hot cup of chocolate, and it felt decadent. It felt like a treat.
Nice. I did that this morning. I haven't done it for ages.
Yeah, really nice. But I've stopped buying the flavored elements. Just thought I'd better come off those and go on to the salts now, which I have done, and just to clean things up a little bit. But other than that, I don't really eat a lot now, I have to say. Like if I'm hungry, like I can get through a steak. Like if I'm really hungry, I'll get through a massive steak, like as big as the plate, and just no pressure. I will just munch my way through and maybe I'll finish the whole thing. And if I don't, I cut it all up. I put it in a zip bag and I have it for breakfast.
Perfect. I made meatballs for the first time. I probably got 4 kilos of mince in my freezer left from when I bought the half cow. And then I've got some ossobuco and then I'm done. I have nothing left. It's time to get another big load of it. But I defrosted it in the fridge just over a quart. I think it took like a day and a half, something like that, 2 days. And then I cooked bacon and I didn't cook it to the point where it was super crispy, but it was done. And I chopped it up, cut it up into kind of little squares about that big. And then, so it looked like bacon confetti. And I mixed it all up with the mince and I made meatballs. And so these meatballs were probably about this big, about an inch and a half, inch and a quarter, something like that. And I baked them in a 180 fan forced oven. So like 350 or 325, I think equivalent for, I think it was about 15 minutes. It was about 15 minutes and pulled them out, cooled them down a little bit. Brilliant. Because that suddenly, I did that on Friday and I've got like 4 left. And I ate them Friday, Saturday, didn't eat them yesterday, had them for breakfast this morning. Can eat them cold or heat them up in the microwave. But that bacon mixed in with the mince, have you done that yet? Mixed bacon in with mince? Okay, you're in for a big treat. That was delicious. So what I did, and it was so clean because, I didn't cook all that mince in a great big fry pan and have it snap and crackling and spitting grease everywhere. So that, I'm a big fan of that. Probably going to do that with one of the other mince. Just adding bacon to mince up levels it to this whole other place. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you think about that. And I did a Costco run yesterday. So I got a bunch of like little lamb chops. Is it called lamb chops? The little ones. What was that?
Are they cutlets here?
It's the bone. It's like if you had wrap of
okay.
lamb, it's the
Uh-huh.
cut up ones. And then one of my favorite treats at Costco is the thin cut ribs, also called flanken ribs, but they call them thin cut. So they take beef ribs, which are like rib, like that. And people normally cut this way between the ribs. But what they do is they cut them about this thin. They do this a lot in Asian cooking, and also it's a German thing called flanken or thin cut ribs. And they take about 4 or 5 minutes max in the air fryer, and they're just absolutely delicious. Let them rest for a minute and then eat them. Be careful when you're eating them, because sometimes little slivers of the bone can get caught in the meat just as you chew them. Don't chomp, without, just be careful so you don't bite down on a little piece of bone, because, that probably wouldn't be good for your teeth. Not that there's a lot of that in there, but just something to be careful of with these cuts. And that's fantastic. So you mainly, and have you done the chuck roast kind of and the chuck steak thing with the reverse sear? Have you tried that yet? Just looking at some sort of more economical ways to get beef.
I got some kind of I get confused with the names here. It's different to what I grew up with. And of course, I haven't eaten meat for such a long time. I'm sort of refamiliarizing myself with the cuts. But I got it was a 1 hour, 60-minute roast, but I did it in the slow cooker, and that turned out pretty well. Yeah.
Nice.
So I don't know. I'm just starting. I think because my weeks have been so full. I mean, the fact that I've made it to 9 weeks is phenomenal, because any other eating plan, there's no way. Absolutely no way. With what I've been through with the last 9 weeks, just the intense deadlines and the pressures and everything that's been going on, there's no way I would have sustained an eating plan. No way. I know myself enough to know that
you would have been
fighting. Week in, I would have been like, forget it, it's too hard.
I mean, you had so much that you were dealing with. You didn't have the bandwidth to deal with a diet.
No. Or the energy.
Yeah, exactly. But eating this way actually sustained you and bolstered your ability to cope with all those other things.
Yeah.
Rather than adding another stressor to the whole mix.
It's very interesting reading, because I've asked them, the ChatGPT, to do, weeks 1 to 4, 4 to 8, blah, 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 so you can see what's happening. And it was quite late on that it was saying, and now your moods will be more regulated. And I thought that happened very quickly for me. That happened very early.
But you didn't
one of the
tell
biggest
it how
things that
you were when you started, right?
Yeah, probably. But it was just interesting, I think, because I went hard and fast on it. I wasn't messing around. It was overnight.
Yeah.
Absolutely overnight. There was no build up. It was just like, I came home from Sydney on the Sunday night, Monday morning, I had steak for breakfast. That was it.
Yeah. And sent me a photo of it and said, I've started carnivore. And I went, no. And anybody watching this who wants to go back and look at Cathy's week 1 interview, the very first one, because that's extraordinary. It's what you're talking about, just how much of a change you noticed in that first week alone, which is fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Cathy, for joining me again. And I just love hearing all of the details about the journey. And I see the difference in your neck and face. And I'm looking forward to the day when you actually notice it in yourself.
Yeah.
Because I can definitely see it. I can definitely see it. And anybody watching this video, go back and look at like weeks 1, weeks 2, 3, and you will see the difference that I see as well. Yeah. And congratulations on putting 9 weeks behind you and starting this morning, it was the start of week 10. So congrats on that. And anybody watching along, please like and share this video so that you get updates whenever I post a new one, and continue following the journey. And I guess when we see you next week, Cathy, you will have postponed your surgery again
I must
to the end of March or something. So exciting.